Welcome to the second episode of our little series about creating a storefront in Next.js with app router, GraphQL, and TypeScript. Hello, Michał. Thank you for joining again.
Hello.
So today I was thinking that maybe we could, because the previous implementation was pretty basic, I would say, and not perfect, far from perfect, to be honest. We are not using TypeScript at all. We are not using this relation between GraphQL and TypeScript. So I think that would be a good time to change that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe to give some perspective, what's interesting about combining TypeScript and GraphQL in your view?
I would say the fact that GraphQL is also strongly and statically typed. So we can kind of map between the GraphQL types and TypeScript types. We can generate TypeScript types from the GraphQL schema.
Yeah, and we can have it like in one place in that case, right?
Yeah, and we can also do so much more because the GraphQL Codegen, which we'll be talking about in a minute, can do so much more. It can generate queries, it can generate hooks, it can generate components even, I believe. So there's tons of plugins and possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and now with because before I think the industry was learning a little bit about how to use that. And now with this new approach in Next.js, it's a bit simplified, right? Because if you are executing all that on the server, like you have less problems to take care of, right?
Yeah, to some extent.
You don't have to like think because the major problem I was thinking about in the context of like large GraphQL APIs, such as of the size of the one we are using here, Sailor, is that when you are generating the types using Codegen, you were adding that to your client bundle, and was pretty substantial. Now, if it's executing on the server, you don't do that, right?
Yeah. You also, for the most part, you don't need GraphQL client like Apollo or Urquell.
Yeah.
You can just use fetch, right? Like we did previously.
Exactly, and we will show that today, exactly. But I would say that you don't need fetch in most cases. I think there are cases where fetch would not be needed. It's not like enough. And I think the storefront is a perfect showcase of that. Because if you're creating something like a blog or very simple application, you may not stumble on some maybe not edge cases, but difficult cases to handle only using the server-side rendering. So yeah, maybe we could start just making it more TypeScript friendly, our application. So this is the app as I changed it a little bit because last time we just displayed one row of products, and now it's just more pretty. Here it's like a slider, but that general idea is the same. We have a query which is written verbatim into component, which is not the nicest thing to do, and then we are just iterating and displaying that, and we have several problems here. It's not typed, so we don't know exactly what's the shape of the data we are getting, so we don't have the control and this like a constraint between server and client. So maybe let's try to change that. So the first thing we will be using today is this tool called GraphQL Codegen or Code Generator. So the idea is that when you have a GraphQL API, you can consume it and generate TypeScript types out of this. Well, this tool does more than that, but in our case, we'll be doing just that today. And the benefit is that we have centralized our types because we just use the GraphQL schema to define the types, and then we infer it, or maybe infer it is not the correct word, but we just get those types automatically from the server. We don't have to write them. So I'm not sure if you agree, Michał, but the general idea would be to minimize writing types.
Yeah. Yeah, I always recommend that.
So I remember we were talking in the past because there was those debates. It's a bit of maybe side topic, but I think we were like talking about this thing that if you write TypeScript that resembles JavaScript, it's a good thing because you're relying on the type inference. So in the places where you're not needing you don't need types, you're not writing them. And this goes back to languages that are maybe more type oriented, like OCaml or
Haskell.
something of that sort, where you just don't need to maybe write types at all. It's inferred. But here the idea is kind of similar, that we have the GraphQL schema on the server. We are modeling our data in one place, and then our client that consumes that can get those types and use them.
Yeah, I like the idea. We will treat the GraphQL API as the source of truth for the types and the data.
So let's see how we can do that. So the first thing would be to use the CodeGen. So we need to install it. So we need GraphQL as a dependency in our project. That's the first thing. And the second thing, well, it already spoils certain things here because we install it. So the second one is GraphQL Code, GraphQL Codegen CLI. So this is the CLI tool that will guide us through the process of setting this code generation. Okay, and once we have that, we can just run it. So we will be using the init command. So maybe before I do this. Okay, so the first question is about what type of application are you building? So we are building a React application.
And it even detected the fact that we are building React application.
It selected the one.
But I'm actually wondering if you have tested if the other answer, like pure JavaScript or server-side JavaScript, wouldn't be better if we are not going to use hooks for data fetching.
I think it changed with GraphQL. I'm not sure about that. I haven't checked that, to be honest. You surprised me. We were discussing before recording that. No surprises. No, I'm joking. I'm not sure about that, but I know that now the default, because before with Codegen you have those like a plugins, and now you have the preset, the client preset, which is like a unified. But let's see what happens. We can redo it. So here we need a URL of our schema. So in our case, this is Vercel Sailor Cloud, the one we used over here, and we can just write a query, for example, for the products. We're getting that. So we are just passing it over here. The question about the location of our GraphQL operations. And by default, it uses TypeScript. And I'm not sure about that. I would prefer that we use
GraphQL files.
Yeah. So I will write it like that. So we will, because with TypeScript, you can wrap GraphQL strings and export them. I'm not sure if that's the most pretty way, but I prefer this one.
Yeah, definitely.
And here they suggest to use SRC. We don't have that, so we will just use maybe GraphQL like that. And there is like caveat over here. You need to remember to add the slash at the end.
Yeah, trailing slash.
Otherwise it won't work. So maybe something we should like create an issue for that because it can be kind of confusing. We don't need introspection file. Codegen file is okay. And yeah, let's call it gen simply. So yeah, it's generated. Let's install all the dependencies that it needs. And yeah, so we have the preset.
Yeah, the one you mentioned.
And now we can try running this. So I can just do gen, I think. It will fail. But let's see if it works. Yeah, it works, but it fails because we don't have any GraphQL files. Yep. So let's change that. So we can simply grab this whole query we are using. and we can create a GraphQL directory. And inside this GraphQL, we will just use, let's call it product list GraphQL, like that. And I will paste this.
I really like the a bit of a different convention when it comes to naming queries. I think Sailor also uses it, where you put the verb or the action first and then the name of the model. So in this case, it would be list products or similar.
Let's see. Are you sure about that? Because
no. Sailor doesn't use it. Yeah, but I like it.
But I think this is an interesting topic because I remember there was now you're talking about that. I think there was a blog post from Shopify about some conventions for GraphQL. And as you say that, for example, if you're using the, let's say, noun, the entity name first, you can group operations for a specific entity like together visually in your like Explorer or something like that. So yeah, maybe our viewers will suggest that.
That's a good point.
Something to us how to do it the best. And for now, I will just use product list. So it's exactly the same query. And let's see if it runs. Yeah, it ran. It runs, and so it's generated this repository, this directory, with some types based off. So it looks at the query, GraphQL query, and then it generates required types. So we have that here, and now we can go back over here, and maybe we could change this like simple fetch so that we can use that query. We just move to a separate file, and we can also have types ready. So maybe, would you like to start with that?
Yes, but I wanted to suggest one more update. I'm not sure if you agree with me, but maybe we could use something called the TypedDocumentString.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a recent addition to the Codegen, I believe.
So let's do that. So Codegen. So let's go to the file, and here we have the configuration. So what we selected, and we have the config. And here we can set document mode string. So that's the important part. And now if we regenerate, it will generate it differently so that it can be consumed the way we want with our fetch.
Yeah, we can take a look at the GraphQL.ts file to see what was generated this time. Mm-hmm. And at the very bottom, we have the product list document.
Yeah. And it's now TypedDocumentString. That's the important part.
And it also includes some additional types at the bottom. And
the product list query.
Yeah, use all of them in a bit.
Yeah, so I'm not sure because we haven't dived into like executing GraphQL. Maybe it's too advanced, the jump from the previous video. But yeah, this is the shape of the query. And we also have the shape of the variables we can pass. We haven't talked about variables yet, but basically we can replace those like a static, those values with placeholders to pass to make it as parameters. But let's try to connect it. So now we would need maybe wrap this fetch with something that can infer the type from this typed document string.
Yeah, so I've copied it, and we have the type that was used in the GraphQL.ts file looked like this, so we can do something based on that. So this is the result.
Yeah.
And this is the variables.
Yeah. So we can use generic types.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to create a function that executes the query, so maybe you can just call it an execute. Or whatever. Mm-hmm. Once the execute is a function.
Exactly.
and it will be a generic function.
Yeah, generic function.
And it takes this document with those two generic type variables.
Yeah, and we are getting the,
It returns a promise of the result.
I'm not sure if, I will just scroll. Yeah. So we have promise and result. Yeah.
And we don't have variables yet, so I guess we can skip that for now. So this should just work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not implemented, but if I call it with the document that was right here.
The one that's generated of the...
Generated, and let's say it's my result equals await. Oops.
Yeah.
And this type will be the product list query. So now I can see that it actually has all the fields. You don't see that on your screen, but
if I hover,
exactly.
I think the viewers will see that. I will maybe, if you don't mind me, I will just delete and try the same. So if I start writing, as you can see, it suggests products, and then it suggests what it knows what's there. So we don't have to the shape of the data. So it's perfect. We have now the with
magic.
It's very magical, very convenient way. We have the benefits of TypeScript, benefits of GraphQL, and the types are there. We don't have to do some strange stuff. So I think we could continue working. Yeah, let's now hook this together.
Yeah, let's quickly move the implementation that we had previously inside this function.
Yeah.
We can get rid of the string.
Yeah, custom query. We can replace it with the one that comes from the
to string, I believe.
Yeah, so that's the place, that's the thing over here.
I've added the async prefix to the function, and it should just work. We should do some tests for errors maybe as well.
Yeah, so we can use like a union type here or something like that to differentiate between when it's data and when it's error.
Yeah.
Because with GraphQL we have this like a convention that we can either return data or errors. And we
so what do you suggest we should do?
I will call it, maybe let's do a type, which is GraphQL response.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
And this type would be either data, which is GraphQL data, or errors, which is GraphQL error, I think. That comes from the GraphQL package, right? And the GraphQL data we need to write ourselves.
We could make it generic, like this. And then reuse the same result that we have in...
Perfect. Yeah.
Inside the function that we already wrote.
So here we would need to just cast it, right?
Yes.
Something like as GraphQL result.
Yep.
And now, what's the problem? We have no...
Let me rename the variables to response, and then result, and then if there is a result.error.
So yeah, you are doing, or maybe you can use this in exactly. So we are checking if the result object has errors field, and if that's the case, we will be just throwing them, and otherwise we know it's data. So
and TypeScript also knows that.
Yeah, it's what's the proper name in TypeScript? This is called type discrimination or something like that. Am I?
Yeah. Yes. And it's type narrowing, I think, in this case.
Type narrowing. Okay. So if we are outside of this, if it knows that the results, it's only data and not the union.
And we should probably get back to this error in the future.
Yeah, in the future, yeah. Let's just keep it simple for now.
Or maybe
step by step. So yeah, and here it will know that it's errors, right?
No, I don't know. Just message.
Message, yeah. But the result is only errors.
And there are also many more fields that we should include probably for I don't know, debugging or.
Yeah.
But
So
we don't
I
care
think
for now.
that's good for that part, and we can now use it directly in our component. So we can just yeah, and let's pass the
Product list.
yeah, and now I think we need to await and now now it's inferring the data, which is pretty cool. Inferring the type, I mean. So it knows exactly that we are asking for product list, and it's getting product list query. So over here at the bottom, in the middle, we can now use that.
But we also have some errors.
Yeah. So we have to because it can be null. So maybe we should handle the case where the data is like has errors, so that this return over here will only happen when there's data. So I mean,
yeah,
like
that's
data,
probably the simplest solution, right?
Yeah, if data errors.
No. The problem was that the data products could be null.
Yeah, exactly. And if
that's probably not what you want to do in a real application, though.
Yeah, we will fix that later.
But in this case, it just works. We know that there are products, so we can not care for now.
And here we have a small problem with album artwork, so I will just change it here for. So maybe we could change it to a proper type.
I guess we should.
Yeah, so this would be, I think, product node, or I forgot what's the. Let me go back here and. What's the name of this?
I don't think it has a name because we didn't use any GraphQL fragments yet.
Yeah, that's true. Can we somehow solve that at this point?
We can, let me see, we can take a part of the type from what was already generated. So if we go to the album artwork file, we can try doing something like product is like this query.
So this is maybe not the most pretty.
Yeah, it's not very convenient. And now it will be more complicated than that because it's nullable. Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I think we should introduce fragments right now.
Okay, so let's maybe try to do that. I think this can be still interesting. So let's maybe add a fragment for that. So maybe let's go back to the product list GraphQL file, and now we can like get this. I think we would need more fragment than one fragment here, but for simplicity, let's just do one now. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
So we want to take this part out, right?
Yeah, and let's do a fragment. Yeah, exactly.
Product. I don't know, just product fragment maybe.
It's perfect. So we are just on product, and here we can use it.
So maybe let's stop for a little bit and explain what's actually happening.
Yeah. So we have extracted a part of our query, the one that's so notice, so we can reuse it later, right? It's like what's the analogy here? It's just a subsection of fields. We are giving a name to it. We know that here we are returning a product, so we want to operate it on it more easy. And the advantage here is that it's not only better for reusability, but it will also generate a type in TypeScript through Codegen. So now if I run pnpm gen, if we go to, I'm not sure if we'll be able to find it, but it should have products fragment somewhere.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there. It's adding fragment 2 times. So there's this option in Codegen that we can, I think, solve that, or we can just drop the fragment. Which one do you prefer?
I would enable the option in Codegen to deduplicate it.
So I forgot what's the proper name. So I think it's the dedupe. No, I don't know.
That should do it.
Dedupe fragments true. Okay. And now let's generate again. Yeah, and if we go back to our file, it's still there.
No, that should work.
Should work. Okay, let's generate again. Maybe no. So let me maybe, if I remove fragment from here, unknown fragment, product fragment. Okay, because it's.
Wait a second. There is this option preset config. Maybe this is.
Maybe that's that. Okay. So let me go back here. No, it's still like that. So now let's use it without the fragment. We will check it later. This is our. We haven't planned that, but that's how it is in programming, I would say. So in that case, I'm just using the product without the fragment suffix. And now in GraphQL we have.
Oh, there is an open issue for that.
Okay. Okay, so good. So let's leave it like that. So we have product fragment, and now we can. What was the plan? The plan was to use it here, so we can use product fragment over here, right?
Yes.
And now, does it solve the issue with the? It's still.
There is one more issue that we need to solve, I think. The fragment masking.
Okay.
Because by default now the fragment masking is enabled in client preset. And maybe for simplicity we should disable it. I don't know.
Okay, and yeah, let's cover that later. Not to introduce too many things right now. Yeah, so in this case, we will maybe skip that. Okay, so we need to disable the masking for now. You're changing the code gen. Okay, yes. Fragment masking to false. And let's generate this again. And let's see. So in page, yeah, it disappears. It's good. And here we have some errors.
Category name is...
It's possibly not, yeah, here. And here.
Same goes for price ranges.
Sorry.
No, it's right.
Yeah. So I think we could make it a little bit better next time. For now, at least we have types. We should just cover the situation where it can be null.
Yeah, because it's possible that product that we are trying to display has no price set or no category.
But now the beauty of the solution is that, it's called album, by the way. Maybe I should rename it.
Yeah, let me rename it.
Okay.
Product.
Awesome. But let's see if it works. So let's run this. So yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So we have
there is one more problem with types when it comes to the media, the image, because if I change it, because we are casting to any, which is not good. If I change it, then it complains that the media could be null. If I add the optional change, then it complains because the source cannot be null. So I think we should do something like this. If there is no media, we don't render the image at all.
Okay, yeah, so it's like a conditional in this case.
Yes.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah,
So
because we have images for all products, but
yeah, exactly. But because if we had products without images, we would maybe in the future we should place some like a placeholder here.
Yeah,
that would be the ideal.
Yeah, we would change it to a ternary, right?
Yeah.
And the placeholder would come instead of just div.
Yeah. But I think we will be, because now we are just introducing new concepts, showing you step by step. I think we will do those little details later. But for this episode, the idea was to show you how to use TypeScript and how to benefit from type schema in GraphQL. So I think we achieved that partially at least. And so I think we are good here. We can stop here. Okay, thank you for joining me. Michał, thank you to our viewers for watching, and like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.
Yeah, bye-bye.